I'm Elizabeth at Literary Princess. If you are new here, welcome. I have a PhD in English literature with a focus on Victorian women novelists, and as you might expect, I love to read. Today I have another Victober video for you, and today we will be revisiting my top 10 Victorian books. So I did this, I don't even know how many years ago it was. 3 maybe? I think it was probably, I should have like looked this up before, before starting, but no, I didn't. I'll link it in the description so that you can see the full video because I'm not gonna rewatch it. I'm like, no, don't need to do that. But things have changed. It's been a few years and I have read a lot more Victorian literature and I wanted to kind of revisit this and talk about how my top 10 has changed. So I'm gonna go through, we're gonna go 10 to 1. There is 1 book per author. In my last video, I had someone say in the comments like, oh, you lost me at 1 book per author. I'm like, okay. It's really just so Margaret Oliphant isn't taking up the whole list, but okay. So, I don't know. Yeah, it's 1 per author so that it's not dominated by Margaret Oliphant. If you have a problem with that, I'm sorry. But it's my video and I can do what I want. So, 10 to 1 per author. I'm going to talk about the book that was in that spot originally and then show the new book that is in that spot. If it has changed, maybe it hasn't changed, I don't know. Although, you know, things have obviously changed if I'm refilming it. Let's jump in. So originally sitting at number 10 was A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett. Now, you might be saying, that was published in 1905, that's not Victorian. However, it was originally a short story serialized in 1887, and Burnett eventually expanded it into a play in 1902 and then into a full novel in 1905. However, as much as I love this book, and I do, this is one of my favorite children's books. My channel title is actually a play on the title of this book. Fun fact. But as much as I love it, I was like, okay, we need to make way for some actual books between 1837 and 1901, as much as I adore you. So A Little Princess has been bumped out of its spot at number 10. Coming into number 10 is now Deerbrook by Harriet Martineau. So I read this recently. So some of this might be recency bias, especially with these ones towards the end of the list. They are ones that I have read very recently. So I'm like, is it recency bias? Or do I just like them better? I don't know. I guess we'll see in another few years when I go to film this again. But Deerbrook by Harriet Martineau. This is following the story of 2 sisters, Hester and Margaret, as they move to the town of Deerbrook to be with their relatives and everything that goes on in the social scene there. I loved this so much. I love the way that it looks at how gossip affects the town and what people do, how people interact. It's just so interesting. I loved Martineau's writing. I liked the relationship between the sisters. I thought it was really interesting. And I just had such a good time with this. I need to get my own physical copy of this. I borrowed it from my university library. But yeah, this is at number 10 now. It's just a fantastic story about small town life in the early Victorian period and a story about sisters, and it's just so great. Originally sitting at number 9 was Hard Times by Charles Dickens. I still really love Hard Times. I think this is one of my top 3 Dickens novels. I need to reread David Copperfield because David Copperfield is the Dickens book that I had previously given 5 stars to. whereas this is a 4.5 star. But I hadn't read David Copperfield in so long, I couldn't really remember it. I was like, I need to reread it, and I put Hard Times here instead. Still love Hard Times. It shows that Dickens can write like interesting, developed characters and stories without going on for 1,000 pages. However, there is a new Dickens book in town, folks. So Hard Times has been bumped off the list entirely. And taking its place on number 9, and I don't think this will be a surprise to anybody that's been watching consistently, is Our Mutual Friend. What a phenomenal piece of literature. There are so many storylines here that are all interwoven and they connect in different ways. It mainly focuses on this fortune made in dust or garbage that was meant to go to the son of the person who has passed away and left the fortune, but the son is pulled out of the river dead. And it therefore reverts and goes to some longtime servants of the family. We are following everybody involved. We're following the servants involved. We're following the daughter of the man who pulled the body out of the river. We're following the lawyer of the guy whose fortune this is. Everybody. And it's magnificent. Truly, truly magnificent. There's a little bit at the end that I'm like, really? Come on. Dickens, you could have done a little bit better than that. However, the rest of it's so good that I don't care. One of the most terrifying villains in Victorian literature, definitely, like, made me very uncomfortable and scared. Like, oh my God, this man, whoa. And just so many fantastic characters. So well done. So well done. I love it. It had to be on this list. So on the original list, sitting at number 8, was The Mill on the Floss by George Eliot. So I have reread this twice now since then. Yes, twice. And it has gone down in my estimation every time I've read it. I still like it. I still like it a lot. I love Maggie Tulliver as a character, and I love hating on Tom because he sucks, and also Stephen Guest because he also sucks. But anyway, George Eliot's great for characters that you want to hate on. However, yeah, this has really, really gone down. Like, this was a 5-star for me when I first read it. This is a 4-star now. Like, it went from 5-star to 4.5 to 4. So it's definitely bumped off of the list. In its place at number 8 is The Heir of Redcliffe by Charlotte Mary Young, which I just recently read this year. All 3 of these I have read within the past year, I think. Deerbrook was in Victober of last year. Our Mutual Friend was in March of this year. And I can't remember when I did The Heir of Redcliffe, but it was this year. What phenomenal characterization. So good. So good. This is the story of Sir Guy Morville. He has gone to live with his guardians, the Edmonstons, and he also has this cousin, Philip Morville. And their branches of the family have kind of been at odds for a while because historically, Guy's side of the family has kind of sucked. However, Guy wants to make up for that. But Philip just can't seem to comprehend that Guy might not be like his ancestors, and that maybe, just maybe, he's actually a good person. And he cannot get over his prejudice against him. I love this. Oh my God. One of the only book characters who, as an adult, I have been like, I will marry you. Like, Sir Guy is amazing. I love Charlotte Mary Young's writing. I just think she is phenomenal. It's incredibly touching. It's incredibly heartbreaking. And I just love it so much. I already want to reread it. And I'm like, no, wait until next year to reread it at least. But yeah, this is sitting at number 8. With the potential to eventually go higher upon reread. Same with Our Mutual Friend and Deerbrook. Like, upon reread, I could love them even more. But, oh, so good. On the original list, number 7 was Moths by Ouida. This is a great book. I love Ouida. She's fun. This is the story of Vera Herbert, who is gone to live with her mother, Lady Dolly, on the continent, and her mother is trying to get her to marry this Russian prince, and she doesn't like him. She's in love with an opera singer. However, she gets forced into the marriage, and we follow what happens next. I'm sorry, it's so shiny. I'm trying to make it so it doesn't get in the ring light. I still really like this book. I do need to reread it, but it got knocked off because these others were so phenomenal. Like, so yeah, it got knocked off. Upon rereading it, maybe it'll go back up. I don't know, but for now, it is off the list. So sitting at number 7 instead is actually the first book that we have that on the original list was up higher and is now moving down. And this is Miss Marchbanks by Margaret Oliphant. Margaret Oliphant is my favorite Victorian writer. There is no question of that. However, there are some books by other authors that I love more than her books, but then I don't love all of their books as much as I love her book. Like, you know, if you get what I mean. I don't know if you do. So this is the story of Lucilla Marchbanks, who comes back to the town of Carlingford after being away at school and decides she is going to become the leader of society, and she does it. She is the person Emma Woodhouse wants to be. And she's just great. I love her as a character. She's just so much fun. She gets involved in politics. And she's just excellent. So yes, this is at number 7 now. It used to be at number 6. So things have been shifting, as you can see. So, number 7 now. At number 6 is instead the book that used to be at number 5, and this is The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. This is a sensation novel following Walter Hartright. Yes, why do I doubt myself about names? Walter Hartright has a mysterious encounter with a woman in white while he is walking home one day. And it turns out she is somehow connected to the 2 sisters that he becomes the painting teacher to. And as the plot unravels, it just gets crazier and crazier. Another really fantastic villain in Count Fosco. An incredibly likable villain, too. This book is just so good. So many twists and turns. It's just exciting. It's pacey. It's just a great time and definitely worthy of being number 6 on my list. It was also worthy of being number 5 on my list, but things happened. So now at number 5 is the book that used to be at number 4, and that is North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. If Charles Dickens wrote Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, this is what it would be. It's socialist Pride and Prejudice with industrialist socialist Pride and Prejudice. Margaret Hale moves from her very comfortable home in the south of England to the manufacturing town of Milton. Milton? Yes, why do I doubt myself? Which is basically Manchester. And she becomes at odds with Mr. Thornton, the mill owner there. And it is enemies to lovers, Pride and Prejudice style, but add mills and strikes. It's great. I love this book. It has been one of my favorites for a really long time. It has been my 4th favorite Victorian novel for a really long time. So yeah, it has been bumped to number 5, which I mean is still super high and means I have incredible esteem for it, which I do, and I adore it. And the miniseries is beautiful. But yeah, it has been bumped down a little bit, but it is still just such a good book. So now sitting at number 4 instead is the book that used to be at number 3, The Tenant of Wildfell Hall by Anne Bronte. So the fact that somebody bumped a Bronte out of my top 3 is truly phenomenal, and we'll talk about that in a minute. This book, however, is also truly phenomenal. We are following a rather complicated story with a complicated narrative structure. But basically, we are following Helen. She has moved into this house, Wildfell Hall, with her son, and there is some gossip going around the town about her. Gilbert Markham, yep, why do I doubt myself, is falling in love with her, and he is he's like, what is going on here? Is what the people are saying about you true? Because she has presented herself as a widow with her son. So she gives him her diary to tell her story of what happened to her, the difficulties she had in marriage, and what has caused her to live here alone with her son at Wildfell Hall. This is so good. I mean, it's an amazing book. It's one of my favorites. It has been since I read it. I don't even know when. A very long time ago now. Coming on 10 years, probably. I love this book so much. I think that it speaks to some very important social issues of the Victorian period. I think the way it portrays domestic violence and alcoholism is really good. And Anne Bronte is just phenomenal. And it's as good as Jane Eyre, and well, nothing's as good as Wuthering Heights, but like she deserves to be up with her sisters. Like a lot of times people seem to just kind of be like, oh yeah, and Anne. Like in Hamilton, Angelica, Eliza, and Penny. It's like, and Anne. But no, Anne really deserves to be there with her sisters. She is just as good as them. So, number 4. So now we get to the book that knocked The Tenant of Wildfell Hall out of the top 3. And this is Daniel Deronda by George Eliot. This contains my favorite character in Victorian literature. One of my favorite characters in literature, period. We are following the intertwined stories of title character Daniel Deronda and Gwendolyn Harleth. Gwendolyn, as she navigates society as a woman and gets married and regrets that choice, and Daniel as he kind of tries to figure out who am I? Like, who are my parents? Where do I belong? As he is helping this young woman, Mira. and I have always had a very complicated relationship. When I first read The Mill and the Floss at 14, I adored it. Then I read Silas Marner like a few months later and was like, Middlemarch and I historically just did not get on. Although now we're good. Middlemarch and I are good. And it's actually my third favorite. Third favorite? No, second favorite. Second favorite? Third favorite. Eliot book. Anyway, we're not talking about Middlemarch. We're talking about Daniel Deronda. I have read Daniel Deronda twice now. And the first time I read it, I was like, wow, that was so good. And the second time I read it, I was even more blown away by it. The psychology of Eliot's characters is just so strong. It is not the best plotted book in the world. Like, her pacing's slow. It's so slow. However, her characterization more than makes up for it. And this truly is a book that I think I'm going to get more and more out of every time I revisit it, and that will just continue to rise in my esteem. So we come to the final two, and the final two have remained the same. And whether these, I know the first one can't be knocked out. If the first one ever gets knocked out of top spot, I don't know. The world's gone crazy. And honestly, kind of the same for the second one. In spot number 2 is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Jane is another of my favorite characters in Victorian literature and literature in general. Probably, I think I did a ranking of characters. I think she was second to Gwendolyn. This is just such an amazing story. Her narrative voice is phenomenal. I read it when I was 15, and it just has stuck with me for so long. I get something new out of it every time I come back to it. There's no question. It is my second favorite Victorian novel. And now we come to number 1, which is again the same as number 1 was last time, and will always be number 1 in my heart. This is not just my favorite Victorian novel. This is my favorite book, period, ever. Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. This is a very decisive book. Some people hate this. The characters, all terrible people. Awful, yes. They're horrid. I agree. Emily Bronte's writing is so powerful. Her descriptions are just great. And the way that she structures this story, because it's like a story within a story within a story, and then it's amazing. It is a tale of obsession, revenge, love, technically, more obsession. It is a story of how destructive love can be. We are following, in the first half, Cathy and Heathcliff, who they are Cathy says of him, he's more myself than I am. Like, they are true soulmates, but their love is burning everything to the ground. But we do get redemption at the end through a second generation. I love this book so much. I read it at 14. It's the book that got me here. I would not have a PhD in English literature without this book. It wouldn't have happened. So, I'm due for a reread. And I want to reread Wuthering Heights. I don't have time to reread Wuthering Heights right now. Reread Wuthering Heights right now. We'll see. Maybe at the end of the year. Anyway, this book I never get bored of it. Every time I come back to it, it's something just is still absolutely fantastic about it. I find something new to focus on, something I hadn't noticed before, or I look at a character in a different light. And the writing just every time is so moving. So yeah, my favorite book, period, Victorian or otherwise. So that is my revisited top 10 Victorian books. Let me know down in the comments, have you read any of these? What did you think of them? Do we share any favorites? What are your top Victorian books? If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more of my bookish content. It has been great chatting with you, and I will see you soon for another Victober video. Bye.